The Boston Red Sox struggles at home are exactly what's keeping them from being a true contender.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Happy Memorial Day. Hope you are off today and get to enjoy some nice time with friends, family, whoever you may be spending the day with. Not such a happy day for the Red Sox as they got swept at home over the weekend by the Minnesota Twins. And on today's show, I'm going to be going over the roster moves that the Red Sox made heading into that series with the Twins. Marcelo Mayer makes his debut for the Red Sox at shortstop, and what's been a disaster, which is the Red Sox struggles at home. And this team just cannot seem to figure things out at home. The only reason they are somewhat in the mix for a wild card spot right now is because they've been winning on the road. They've been taking care of business a lot more then, and then things just fall apart at home. And what's especially frustrating about this most recent series against the Twins, in which the Red Sox got swept, was they were coming off of a sweep themselves where they had just swept the Royals in Kansas City. So you want to hope that means there's some momentum there, and then they come back home and things just completely unravel for this Red Sox team. Very much not ideal at all. Game one of the series on Friday night, they lost that game 8-6 behind Peyton Tolley. Game two, which was a close and competitive game, a little bit more, they still lost 4-2. They had opportunities in that game. Giovanni Moran started the game with Brian Bayo coming in behind him in relief. They had a big opportunity even in the bottom of the ninth inning and could not rally back to win that game. Then the final game of the series on Sunday, they lost a tight game 6-5. And the bottom of the ninth inning got very exciting in that game. And I thought the Red Sox had a shot then. And it felt like in all three of these games, the Red Sox had a shot to either tie or win the game late. Friday night, even Cedar Rafaela launched a ball to the deepest part of Fenway Park, the triangle way in the back. And to me, that is like, of course, the spot where if you hit it there, it's just not going to go out, but it would be a home run probably in other ballparks, but not at Fenway. That's just the deepest part of the outfield, and he hit it there. And I thought that he had a home run, and it would have been a 2-run homer to tie the game in the ninth inning. So obviously some frustrating things that happened in that series. But overall, the overarching idea is that the Red Sox just aren't generating enough productivity at home. And that has truly been a downfall of this team so far this season. And they struggled all season long against the Twins. They lost the series against them in Minnesota earlier this season. That was the series in which the Twins roughed up Garrett Crochet and he had his worst start of his career. And they just could not figure out how to beat that team. Then for the Twins to come to Fenway and allow yourself to get swept is truly just pathetic. They fell back into last place in the AL East at 22-30. And that's a position that largely reflects their major league worst 8-17 mark at home. It truly is pathetic that they just can't seem to figure things out there. Chad Tracy said, obviously, we were riding high coming in, so getting swept is a tough feeling. Well, yeah, it is, because you go from such a high with sweeping a team to then coming back home and reminding people, okay, we're still the 2026 Boston Red Sox. We're incapable of finding that type of consistency. It's just been so gloomy at home. And like I mentioned, the Red Sox were flirting with victories over the weekend, but just couldn't find a way to break through. And on Sunday, when a steady rain made parts of the infield look at times like it was unplayable. The Red Sox still just played through it because it's hard when a team isn't coming back again. And with this being the Twins' only trip to Fenway, they probably really wanted to force that game to get in. So they played it. And down 6-4 in the bottom of the ninth inning with two Red Sox on base and one out, IKF blasted a ball to left center field, and then he paused at the plate because he was trying to admire what he thought was the first walk-off homer of his career, but instead, the ball clanged off the wall for a double, with the lead runner scoring easily because he was at third base. But then Connor Wong was the trail runner, and he was all the way at first base. So it was a pretty aggressive send by third base coach Chad Epperson to send him at that point, but he ended up being thrown out at the plate, and he was out, and it wasn't even close. He was out by about 5 feet. It was kind of a situation where I could see sort of where Epperson was coming from in sending him because of the fact that this team struggles to score runs. He, in his head, felt like because there was runners on base and it was an opportunity for guys to score and for them to be able to tie the game at that moment, he wanted to take advantage. So when Wong got thrown out, the Red Sox challenged it, not because they thought he was safe, but more because of catcher's interference. They wanted to see if maybe the catcher was blocking the plate. And ultimately, the call ended up not getting overturned. He ended up being out at home. And the unfortunate thing about that was that they then had a runner on second with 2 outs, but they could have had second and third with 1 out. And that would have changed the entire dynamic as to how that inning could have gone, because they would have just been down 1 run at that point with 2 runners in scoring position. Now, when you look at the Red Sox offense and you think about how things have gone this year, obviously them having 2 in scoring position with run out doesn't always feel like the most promising thing for them in particular because of how much they've struggled to drive in runners in scoring position in general this season. But there would have been more hope in that regard. It just felt like after Wong was thrown out at the plate that they had lost that game at that point. And the Red Sox very much understand that this letdown at home and that it's disappointing. They understand that this is just not ideal and nobody wants to see it. And IKF expressed it after the game. He said, as a group, we really want to make our fan base proud. I felt like this series would have been a big swing with our team, the fan base, getting the belief back and kind of going from there. So to get swept right here, it definitely hurts. We feel it. So there's just a big sense of missed opportunities for this team, especially because the Red Sox just have such a long history of claiming one of the best home field advantages in baseball. The park's sharp angles and lopsided dimensions overall have often created a stage for Fenway dominance based on the ability of the team to assemble a roster that fits the park, plus the familiarity of the players in taking advantage of what Fenway has to offer, especially from an offensive perspective. And the ability to thrive at Fenway has been a constant of Red Sox teams that reach the postseason. Of the 26 playoff editions in franchise history, all of those teams had a home winning percentage of at least .580. Last year, the Red Sox ended up with a 48-33 record at home and treaded water at 41-40 on the road, which was a formula that smelled a postseason berth, but that's the difference. They had a winning record both at home and on the road last year. And this year, the team still has a winning record on the road at 14-13, but it's horrendous at home to the point that historically has spelled doom when it comes to playing in October. So here's the thing. The Red Sox have never made the playoffs in a year when they lost 17 of 25 home games. They haven't had a winning season in a year when they endured an 8-17 or worse home stretch since 1991. The last 4 times they endured such a deep 25-game Fenway struggle, in 2022, 2020, 2014, and 2012, they finished last in the American League East. So things are not looking bright when it comes to this season, unless the Red Sox turn things around at home immediately when they now face an even tougher opponent in the Braves. The Red Sox have already been swept twice at home this year, which is once more than in all of the 2025 season, and they've lost 6 of 8 home series this season. They're 1-6-1 in home series. So not great. And it's just a jarring performance overall, especially because mediocrity would position them well in the AL East this season. Even if they had been about a 500 team at Fenway, they'd be tied for the fourth best record in the AL. But instead, they suffered 3 home series losses in May to sub 500 teams with the Astros, Phillies, and Twins, although obviously the Phillies have been playing a lot better since then, earlier in the season. They've been unable to hold on to any hot streaks that they've developed on the road. Now, I keep preaching for consistency on this show, and that's something the Red Sox just haven't been able to find any of this season because they are riding such a high after they get a couple good wins, and then it seems like things just unravel and fall apart for them. And you have to wonder if they're in their heads about a lot of it too, because they know they haven't been performing and they know when they come back to Fenway, they need to try to make the fans happy because they haven't put together the best product on the field overall. So they're probably overthinking that a little bit and they don't want to get booed at home. So therefore it's probably impacting the way they play. So they're playing with a little bit less confidence and are a little bit more nervous at home, knowing the start to the season that they've had isn't ideal. And so it's causing them to maybe overthink things a lot more. IKF said, we know we have to be better. We've got to do something. What we're doing right now is not good enough. We've got to do a better job. Yeah, no kidding. The bottom line is that the results have to change quickly and very dramatically. They need to start winning games at home. And the lack of offensive power could definitely be another reason why they're struggling at home, because Fenway Park requires an offense that can generate power and pull fly balls into the green monster. And this team is hitting for virtually no power overall and have a historically low OPS at home. A high strikeout rate and lack of patience prevent the lineup from stringing hits together, which ends up being exacerbated by a general lack of stolen bases. They're not slugging a lot, meaning they're not getting a lot of extra base hits at home, especially not home runs in a place like Fenway that you really do need that home run power. So that's something that's impacting this team this year. And overall, they've just gotten not enough productivity. And at the end of the day, they are just facing a lot of pressure this year from the fans, and players have admitted to pressing and trying to do too much at the plate rather than setting into a natural rhythm when playing at home. So that definitely plays a factor, but whatever is going on, they need to get out of their heads about it and just start playing better at home, because they are still in a spot to where if they just string together some wins and they focus on winning series and playing good baseball, they could get back in it in the AL because of how mediocre the American League is right now. So they've got to figure out what's going on at Fenway and start winning games there, because ultimately getting swept at home is unacceptable. Coming up, Marcelo Mayer made his shortstop debut on Sunday. What that could look like for the Red Sox moving forward. The NBA playoffs are here and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. Turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. You can check stats, trends, and matchups before making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. It's a really easy app to navigate, and it makes playoff basketball even more engaging from start to finish. There's a lot of fun things that you can bet on, including maybe Wembanyama scoring 20 plus points if you want to bet on that, or if you like the Knicks versus the Thunder, for example, for the finals, you can maybe bet on some of those games or bet on the champion. So there's a lot of different things that you can bet on, and it's a lot of fun. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. If you're looking to win lots of money, this is definitely the way to do it, is by checking out FanDuel today and start to place those bets. Also, you can get your daily Red Sox coverage completely ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club today. Start your 7-day free trial right now and get closer to your team without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes or go to lockedonredsox.supercast.com to claim your free trial. The Everydayer Club is a great way to stay in touch with what's going on and feel like VIP because I post all exclusive content you won't find anywhere else. So if you want to get that, make sure you subscribe today. Well, the Boston Red Sox struggles at home have very much continued as they just got swept by the Minnesota Twins. And the problem is they just aren't getting the productivity they need in general. And while the pitching in general has typically been pretty sharp for this team, they just haven't gotten the pitching as of late in this series that they have gotten a lot over the last few weeks. For example, some of their relief pitchers that are typically reliable didn't really have it. Justin Slayton came into the game in a relief on Friday night and wasn't on his A game. Garrett Whitlock in yesterday's game wasn't on his A game. So the relievers that they usually can rely on, not all of them were on it and had their best stuff in this series, which ultimately led to and assisted in the Red Sox getting swept. Also, timely hitting just is a constant pattern with this Red Sox team, just not getting the ball in play with runners on base. That's something they've got to be able to do better with. And the reality at the end of the day is that they just overall are not getting enough offense. And I've talked about it extensively on this show, and it's something that Craig Breslow is going to have to work on and fix. But one thing that's been a big topic of discussion all season long so far is when is Marcelo Mayer going to be moved to shortstop? Because the Red Sox seemed pretty adamant for the longest time that Trevor Story is their shortstop and he's going to play there. But now that Trevor Story is injured, the Red Sox saw this as a prime opportunity for Marcelo Mayer to play shortstop. So Sunday actually marked a pretty twofold milestone for him because it was the 1-year anniversary of when he made his major league debut. So May 24th, 2025, he got called up between games of a doubleheader when Alex Bregman's placement on the injured list prompted a scramble from Worcester to Boston. So that was a year ago. And then yesterday, May 24th of 2026, he played shortstop for the first time in a Boston Red Sox uniform. And he was asked about what he remembers from that day he got called up. And he said, that was definitely a special day, but it honestly didn't feel like my debut because that day was so crazy. I had like 30 minutes to get ready for my first big league game. I didn't even know where my shoes were 5 minutes before the game. I didn't have a locker because it wasn't ready. I was in the middle of the clubhouse scrambling for my stuff, which I guess helped with the nerves. Time has definitely flown by, I feel like, since that debut. Time definitely has flown by, and progress for him has been deliberate. He remains a player looking to live up to not only the hype and potential that came with being taken as the number 4 pick in the 2021 draft, but also his own expectations. He said, I have the highest standards for myself that I possibly can. Whatever people's standards are of me, mine are higher, trust me. As players, as athletes, we all want to perform to the best level that we're capable of and that we know we can. When you're not doing that, it gets frustrating. So defensively, he's had an exceptional transition to the major leagues. He had spent the majority of his amateur and minor league careers at shortstop. He looked like a hand-in-glove fit at third base in 2025 and second base through 2 months of this season. So he was able to naturally make that transition. And in Worcester, before he got called up, he was spending a lot of time playing second base and a lot of time playing third base because the Red Sox wanted him to get reps in those spots, knowing they still had Trevor Story to play shortstop. So him being an asset in the field is part of why the Red Sox felt so comfortable with Marcelo moving over to shortstop in Trevor Story's absence. And he takes pride in supporting his pitchers with his glove, but he's not happy overall with his performance as a hitter. He finished the game yesterday hitting .214 with a .277 on base percentage and .300 slugging percentage in 2026 and over 91 career games, a .221 average, .275 on base percentage, and .348 slugging. He's just been one of the least productive regulars in baseball. Obviously, I want to hit better, he said. I've always prided myself on hitting, and I feel like people right now know me as a defense first guy when that's not really who I've ever been. My defense has just been that much better than my bat, and that's what people see. So people are seeing some vulnerabilities with him because even though he's demonstrated solid swing decisions, he has glaring holes. He's 1 for 35 since his call up on changeups, which is a .29 average, which is worst in the major leagues. He's also 2 for 34 on shadow zone pitches, which is pitches that are near or just below the bottom of the strike zone, including 1 for 19 this season. That hit actually came yesterday when he ripped a slider for an RBI single. So he just has not been good with some of those off-speed pitches and ones that are slightly off the plate. Pitchers are really well aware of those struggles, which is the problem because they can take advantage of that on their end. Of the 227 batters who entered yesterday, having seen at least 500 pitches, the 28% usage of off-speed pitches, changeups, and splitters against Mayer was the highest of any hitter. The 18% of pitches in the shadow zone along the bottom edge of the plate ranked 22nd. So pitchers know, and they're going to take advantage of that. And he also knows those deficiencies and is working to close his holes. He said, obviously, it hasn't gone the way that I wanted offensively so far, but it's early. We all want to be really good right away. But looking back in my minor league career, I've always struggled going up to new levels. The biggest thing is just not making a big deal out of it and trusting myself as a hitter because it's not my first rodeo struggling in a new level. I feel like I still don't have that many at-bats. I'm approaching a year, but at the same time, I don't have a year's worth of at-bats. The biggest thing is just learning with every single at-bat. There's no guarantees as to what Marcelo will become because numerous standout prospects just never ended up living up to their hype, but a lot struggled toward the beginning of their careers before really establishing themselves. So for him, he's trying to just be patient with himself, knowing that he has a history of struggling in other levels and hoping that he can get things going. While the Red Sox remain optimistic that his abilities will emerge in the big leagues, they know his path to improvement doesn't necessarily follow a set schedule. Interim third base coach Chad Epperson managed Mayer in Double-A in 2023 and 2024. He said you can see this guy hitting 20 homers at some point in his career, and it's not just 1 year that this guy's capable of doing that. I just think he's still in that growing stage of what's the game telling me what to do and what do I need to do. Sometimes he just wants to force the issue. Would it be nice for him to be the Marcelo we know? Yeah, but that's going to happen in time. So obviously Epperson feels the same way as Marcelo, that he just needs to be patient and the results will come. And it's tough for Marcelo because obviously in the back of his head, he knows he has to perform better offensively. So naturally, that's going to put him more in his head about it because if you're struggling, then you start overthinking everything and you're thinking, okay, I almost need to do too much to overcompensate for my struggles and get myself back on track. So for him, he's probably in his head about feeling like he hasn't performed at a high enough level for this team at the plate. And that's something that he definitely is keeping in mind and looking at right now. And I'm sure that definitely plays a factor. He'll be the primary injured replacement for Trevor Story at shortstop, who underwent surgery and is not expected back now until at least late June. So that was an update from the weekend, was that he did end up getting the surgery, and because he's now going to be out for 6 to maybe 10 weeks potentially, this is an opportune time for Marcelo to really showcase what he can do and really start to grow and improve a little bit more at the plate, because I'm not worried about his defense at shortstop. He has shown that he can seamlessly switch from position to position in the infield, no problem. That's something that the Red Sox, I'm sure, are confident in. But the problem is if he continues to struggle at the plate, because if he goes off and he figures things out offensively and cleans up some of those things that he struggles with, then it's going to be an interesting decision for the Red Sox to make when Trevor Story does come back, because they'll probably want to move Story back to short, but would they really want to move Marcelo at that point back to second if what he's doing is working, because if he finally figures things out while playing shortstop, it'd be tough for the Red Sox to say, oh, by the way, we need to switch you over to second base again because we have Trevor back. Because at that point, that might be the opportunity for the Red Sox to say, okay, well, Marcelo's our shortstop of the future. So rather than switching him back to second, we might as well keep him there now and just put Trevor Story at second base when he comes back from the IL. Or there's a matter of the Red Sox saying, okay, we could trade Trevor Story because we're so confident in Marcelo moving forward. And the reason the Red Sox haven't extended Marcelo yet is because they want to see more still. And he still has to prove himself a little bit more before the Red Sox feel confident in giving him that contract extension. Now, granted, I know they did it with Christian Campbell pretty early, and he's in AAA right now. And Roman Anthony hadn't played that many games before he got extended. But obviously the Red Sox felt confident in those guys' ability at the major league level to the point where they felt confident that they could extend them, but they haven't extended Marcelo yet. So he's still playing for that longer term contract extension. So that's another reason why he has to continue to prove himself. And so from the Red Sox perspective, this time period now is going to be a great opportunity for them to really see what his ceiling is and what his potential is. And if they don't feel like he's going to be the shortstop of the future, they still are looking for his value to increase a little bit more, because then they could potentially think about the idea of trading him, especially with Franklin Arias playing so well in the minors right now, who's the top infield prospect in the Red Sox system. So lots to think about with Marcelo, but did well defensively in his shortstop debut. Now it's a matter of, okay, he's playing shortstop. Now he can hopefully continue to play shortstop, but also can he then improve what he's been doing at the plate? So we'll have to see how that goes for him. But coming up, I'm going to be talking about some roster moves that the Red Sox made over the weekend. Don't forget to subscribe to the Everydayer Club to get all access content you won't find anywhere else. You'll get ad-free versions of every episode, plus a Discord server to chat with me and other Red Sox fans. If you subscribe to the all access tier, you can get one-on-one texting with me directly, as well as all access episodes that you won't find anywhere else. So make sure you check it out. Plus follow me on social media at Gabby Maljanian on Twitter, at Gabby_Maljanian10 on Instagram, and the show's Twitter at LO_Red Sox. The Red Sox got swept by the Twins at home, and it just was so frustrating because the bottom of the ninth inning, they had opportunities yesterday to try to win the game, and they couldn't do it. The ninth inning on Friday, they had opportunities. Now, granted, Cedar Rafaela launched the ball to the deepest part of Fenway, the triangle in deep right center field, and it just wasn't meant to be for them ultimately at the end of the day. But it was frustrating. I mean, getting swept at home is horrific, and they should be embarrassed by that. And if these guys are feeling bad about it, well, they should, because they need to play better baseball at home. And they were feeling pressure from the fans. I know they are, because they know they need to play better. But hopefully some added boosts and guys coming back from injury can help with that. So they did make some roster moves over the weekend. So prior to Friday's game, they opened up the 3-game series against the Twins, and they were getting ready to start that series, and they made 3 roster moves that day, adjusting both their 26-man and 40-man rosters. They selected the contract of right-handed pitcher Tyron Guerrero from Worcester, optioned right-handed pitcher Zach Kelly to Worcester, and transferred right-handed pitcher Cutter Crawford to the 60-day injured list to open a 40-man roster spot for Guerrero. Guerrero's 35 years old and returns to the major leagues for the first time since 2019. He pitched for the San Diego Padres and Miami Marlins from 2016 to 2019. Over that stretch, he recorded 106 innings with a 5.77 ERA. He ended up losing his roster spot ahead of the 2020 season and has since split time between minor league deals and overseas opportunities in Japan. He then found some success with the Chiba Latte Marines in 2022, turning in a respectable 3.52 ERA, but the results became a lot less encouraging over time. By 2025, his ERA had swelled to 6.41, and his minor league numbers from 2021 through 2024 painted a similarly uneven picture at 7.62. So he had his struggles during his time playing in the majors and also overseas. And then when he went down to the minors again, he struggled. But he had been highly effective in Worcester this season, allowing just 2 earned runs over 19 and 2/3 innings for a .92 ERA. He had struck out 29.3% of hitters while posting an 8% walk rate and a 69.6% ground ball rate. His fastball averaged in the upper 90s with secondary offerings around 90 miles per hour. Across his major league career, he's shown a power arm averaging close to 99 miles per hour on his fastball. So he's a flamethrower, but the problem is he has control issues that have persisted, including a 13.6% walk rate in 113 appearances. And we saw him pitch a couple times in this series against the Twins. And while he was still throwing the ball hard and the velocity was definitely there, he did have trouble throwing the ball over the plate. So that's something I'm going to be keeping in mind and monitoring when it comes to him is, can he throw strikes? And we did see him struggle with that. He walked in a run on Friday night when he came into the game, although he was in a tough spot with the bases loaded. He came in a super high leverage moment. So obviously that's tough when you haven't been in the majors in a bit and you're being asked to pitch in that situation. But he's got to throw the ball over the plate, and we've got to look out for those command issues. Zach Kelly goes down to Worcester after logging a 3.31 ERA with 3 holds and 16 and a third innings this season. Holds meaning holding a lead for the Red Sox. He joined the roster in early April and has worked in both middle and high leverage situations. He remains in his final minor league option year. So what that means is after this year, he won't have options left. So if he's on the major league team, the Red Sox won't be able to send him down to Worcester anymore. Meanwhile, Cutter Crawford has been placed on the 60-day IL after missing all of last season with wrist and knee injuries and dealing with elbow soreness following his first rehab outing with no return timeline set since mid-April. So I feel badly for him. Just a tough situation, just can't seem to get himself healthy and get back out there. So hopefully at some point he can pitch again for this team, but he'll be out for a while now because he was shut down from throwing after that rehab outing. So that was the first set of roster moves they made. And then they made another roster move on Sunday. So they reinstated left-handed reliever Danny Coulombe from the 15-day injured list and optioned lefty Tyler Samaniego to AAA Worcester. So this came as a bit of a surprise because Samaniego's been dominant. He's a 27-year-old rookie who was sent down despite a 1.04 ERA. He allowed just 2 earned runs and 13 hits in 17 and a third innings over 18 relief outings. Opponents were batting just .213 against him. So he showed a ton of potential in this Red Sox bullpen and was more than reliable. So I was a little bit surprised by that. And Chad Tracy explained the decision a little bit, and he said it's tough. He's done well here. A lot of lefties in the bullpen, and we have an optional lefty, and that's part of the equation. The Red Sox right now have 3 left-handers in Coulombe, Giovanni Moran, and Aroldis Chapman in the bullpen. And Tracy said that Samaniego was disappointed, as most all guys are when you have those conversations with them. So obviously it wasn't an easy decision, and they didn't send him down because they didn't trust him. But it's tough when you have Giovanni Moran, who's been pitching exceptionally well out of the bullpen. Aroldis Chapman, obviously he's your closer, can't really do anything there. And you want to bring back the veteran in Coulombe. So it seems like they were going for the veterans to keep around. And Samaniego, even though he was optioned down to AAA, that'll give him more time to continue to get even more dominant, and he'll get another opportunity in the majors for sure. It was just a tough spot for the Red Sox to be in, so they decided to send him down because it had to be a lefty that went down, and that was the most logical choice. Coulombe missed 24 games on the 15-day injured list with cervical spasms. He has a 5.63 ERA. He's pitched in 8 innings, giving up 5 earned runs, and a .281 opponent's batting average over 12 outings this season. The Red Sox signed the 36-year-old veteran reliever to a 1-year, $1 million contract on March 12th. He's appeared in 355 major league games with 6 different teams over 12 major league seasons. So obviously he hasn't been great this season with the Red Sox. So it's disappointing that the Red Sox had to replace Samaniego with him, but they paid Coulombe for the season. So we knew they were going to try to maximize that. So those are the roster moves they made over the weekend. Is the question now going to be whether Coulombe is going to be successful enough and consistent enough to justify the Red Sox keeping him around, or will they be missing Samaniego? Is that going to be the question, or is the question now going to be, can the Red Sox bullpen stay healthy, or is somebody else going to get hurt, providing an opportunity for Samaniego to get called back up? So lots to keep in mind with that, but either way, getting swept at home, no matter how you slice it, isn't acceptable. Got to play better baseball, and hopefully they can. So thanks so much, as always, for tuning into the show and making it your first listen of every single day. Make sure to keep tuning in Monday through Friday so you don't miss a single episode, and subscribe and follow the show on any podcast platform so you get all the latest episodes. Plus, if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Red Sox ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonredsox.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB. Thanks so much, as always. Keep the faith, even though that feels really difficult right now. Go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.